Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be looking at Travis Marziani. He is probably the biggest YouTuber in the Amazon space. He's got over 250,000 subscribers. He sells an Amazon course. He's been around for a long time. So I'm going to be looking and giving my personal opinion on whether or not I think he is a fake guru. Now, you might be watching this and you might be thinking, well, what right does this geezer have to say whether or not someone is a fake guru? Well, I think I've got the right to say whether or not I think someone is a fake guru because we're actually selling on Amazon right now. We're actually making money from our Amazon brand right now. Last year, we did just under $1 million in revenue and about $150,000 in net profit. We should double those numbers in 2023. So I think that gives me the right to judge other people that are making content on YouTube. If you don't agree with that, let me know in the comments down below. But before we dive into my opinion, let's just have a little bit of a look at what I think a fake guru actually is.
I'm just helping you invest in your future, my friend.
So I think a fake guru is somebody that's making content where they monetize that content through courses or mentorship, and they don't actually sell on Amazon themselves. Now, you would be surprised at the number of people that are making content on YouTube where they are teaching other people how to sell on Amazon and they don't actually sell on Amazon themselves. Now, I think this is a big problem because if you're trusting the information that someone else is giving to you, especially if you're paying money for that information, then you should be confident that that information is up to date and it's correct. And from watching content on YouTube, most of the information isn't really up to date and a lot of it isn't really correct. There's been some big scams and some big scandals recently with Kevin David, also with Just One Dime, who scammed $50 million from people with their Amazon automation services. And I think one of the reasons that stuff like this happens is because people in the industry, we don't call out obvious scammers. Nobody really wants to talk about it. They don't want to look like somebody, that's criticizing other people or throwing shade on people. And I don't think that's right. I think that we should, as a community, we should judge other people. And if it doesn't seem like what they're saying is true, if it seems like they're lying or they're being misleading, they should be called out to help people avoid getting scammed and wasting their money. So Travis started making content over 7 years ago. He'd been around on YouTube for a long time, and it looks like he got into making Amazon content about 5 years ago. So before that, he was doing sort of general Facebook marketing, AdWords. So he's obviously very knowledgeable as a marketer. And I mean, getting to 250,000 subs is no easy feat. So he's obviously a very smart guy, very knowledgeable on personal branding, on marketing. But is he super knowledgeable on Amazon? So in 2018, he talks about his performance nut butter brand. In 2020, he actually goes into the results of it and he says that it did over $200,000 in revenue and about $66,000 in net profit. So he clearly knows what he's doing. I remember looking at these videos and seeing that nut butter brand, and I always thought it was great. The branding is really nice. And it's just a bit of a different product than most other Amazon gurus talk about. Nobody really talks about consumable products. It's not really something that you would just go to Alibaba and get. So I really liked it. I always liked his content around this brand. And I had a lot of respect for what he did with this. He also details a second product within this brand, which was, I think, made from macadamia nuts. And the funny thing is that he talks about it being a failure. I think that's great. I love his transparency. I love the fact that he had a product and it didn't go very well, and he talked about it openly. This is something that people don't do enough, and it's because, if they're trying to sell a product, if they're trying to sell a course, they want everything to seem amazing. You don't want to look at somebody and think, oh, they've had a failed product, because it might damage their course sales. So I love that this is a refreshing take from Travis where he talks about this, and I think it shows, a lot of transparency, which is great. One thing that I do think is a little bit odd is that in one of his videos in 2022, he shows some results, but they're actually results from 2019. I do think this is a little bit misleading. I do think if you're going to show results, in 2022, then they should be results from, within the last 12 months, really. You shouldn't really be talking about results from, a few years ago. In August this year, he was talking about his new product and his new brand that he was going to be launching. And he said that, they were going to try and do $80,000 a month. And it was this high caffeine tea. I really like the branding. I really like everything he's doing with that product. And I love that he documents it all on the channel. You know, watching that, you're going to get a lot of great information, and you're going to really see, you know, how Travis thinks as a marketer, how he thinks about branding, how he thinks about sourcing the products. So I love the fact that he's documented all of the different pieces of that journey openly on this channel. I also really love that he's not just telling people to do the traditional private label method. He actually says in a couple of videos that he thinks that method is dead and the strategy of private label isn't really viable anymore.
The third reason is China, and this has really killed the private labeling industry of Amazon. And that's because if you're private labeling a product from Alibaba, there's nothing stopping the Chinese manufacturer from selling the exact same product.
I would have to agree with him. I think if all you're doing is just putting a logo on a product and then sending it into Amazon, I think you're really going to struggle. And I love the fact that he's encouraging people to move away from that. I think he's completely right. I love that he's talking about building communities. It's obvious that he's trying to teach more than just the traditional Amazon guru. And I completely agree with him. I think these are the strategies that you need to be taking if you want to have success moving forward with Amazon. So he shows the results of this high caffeine tea when he launched it. So I think he launched it with a friend, it might have been a student. He talks about it in one of his videos. I think in the first month, they say that it did $8,000 in revenue and about $1,700 in profit.
So in total, when you add in the remaining few days of selling in your first month on Amazon, how did the numbers look?
We made about $7,800.
And when you subtract out the product cost, the Amazon selling fee, the Amazon pick and pack fee, what was the total profit in your first month ever selling on Amazon?
About $1,700.
So obviously, that product had some success early on. I have checked the results of that product now, and it's only doing about $5,000 a month in revenue. That doesn't mean it's a flop by any means. It still seems to be making money, and you can see that they've approached this in a really legit way. It's a great looking brand. I'm not really sure why it didn't go as well as they imagined it was going to do. I think Travis does touch on that a little bit. He says, he's not personally working on it. But you can clearly see that, him and the guy that he did it with, they know what they're doing, even if the results aren't absolutely amazing. Do I think that Travis is a fake guru? I don't think he is. I think Travis is legit. I do think there are some small caveats to that. I think he can be a little bit misleading at times. I don't really like how he talks so much about passive income. I understand that it's a great thing to sell a course with, telling people that stuff is going to be passive income. People don't really want to do any work. I do think he could be a little bit more upfront with some of his results and be a little bit less misleading with, showing results that are from the past. I think that's honestly because I think he's got a bit of a personal brand empire at this point, and making money from selling his courses is probably way more lucrative than launching products on Amazon. That doesn't make him a fake guru, in my opinion, because he's proven himself in the past. The way that he talks about branding, about marketing, about building communities, he definitely knows what he's doing. I will say that I don't really think he's at the forefront of Amazon FBA. I do think there's people out there that, are in the trenches right now, launching products consistently. The tactics and strategies are probably a little bit more sophisticated than what Travis is talking about on his YouTube channel. I think he talks about a lot of beginner concepts. So I don't think, he's probably the most knowledgeable person on Amazon FBA right now, but he definitely knows what he's talking about. I've not done his course, but I imagine that if you do take his course, it's probably going to be really good. He doesn't strike me as the type of person that's going to do all of this content and then not really follow through with his actual paid course. He seems like a legit guy. He seems like a good guy. He definitely knows what he's doing. And I would say that there's probably stuff in his course that other Amazon gurus are not talking about. Like I say, he's not just doing the traditional private label route. So I think that course in the hands of the right person with a good budget, you can probably create something really great and have, a really successful Amazon business. So yeah, thumbs up for Travis. I think he's great. I really like his content. I really like what he's doing. I love his transparency. There are some caveats, like I said. I'd like it if he was a little bit less misleading at times. But yeah, if you're on the fence about joining his community and all of that stuff, in my opinion, I'm sure it's going to be great. And as somebody that creates content on YouTube, I'm always looking at what he's doing because he's really, really smart in general. It's not easy to, build a channel to that size. So I just think he's somebody that everybody can learn from a branding perspective, whether that's a personal brand or an Amazon brand or whatever it is. He's clearly a very smart guy. All right, so now we've gone over that. Let me know in the comments below whether or not you agree with me. Let me know if there's anyone else that you want me to analyze. I will try and be as objective as I can and present the information, and you can also kind of make your mind up as well. And then go and check out this video here where I talk about 7 key things that we learned from doing 7 figures with our own Amazon brand.